Hello and welcome to another introductory statistics video. In my last video, I showed you all how to compute and interpret a one sample t confidence interval to find the population mean critic score for all video games. This time we're going to be doing something similar, however we're going to be working a bit backwards. Now I have the confidence interval that I computed in the last video here. We can actually use that upper and lower bound to find the exact width and the margin of error for this confidence interval. So I would calculate this by taking the upper bound, subtracting my lower bound, so my confidence interval is 1.7 units wide. If I then divide by 2, split it in half, that gives us a margin of error of 0.85 units. But what if I wanted it to be more precise? What if I wanted this 95% confidence interval to estimate this population mean critic score within 0.5 units? So the only thing that I can really do to control for the width of the confidence interval, since sampling variability can be so chaotic, is to adjust the sample size that I use. There are mathematical formulas that we can use to find the sample size required for a given confidence interval width, but I would rather use the tools in StatCrunch. So we go to Stat, and I know in the last video I said that for all mean related things we'll be in t-stats. But when we're trying to find the sample size for a confidence interval of a given width with quantitative data, that is the only time we will be using z-stats. You go to z-stats, one sample, and then you want width/sample size. You should get an interface that looks like this. We have 4 spaces for entering a confidence level, the standard deviation, the width of the confidence interval we want, and the sample size. I don't know what the population standard deviation is, so I'm just going to use the sample standard deviation as my best guess. So I'm going to plug in 13.71 for my standard deviation. Confidence level, we still want to use a 95%. Now over here, it will ask you for the width. Remember that the width is twice the margin of error. We want to estimate within 0.5 units of the true population mean, so we want a margin of error of 0.5, which means we want a width of only 1. Now when I hit compute, it'll give you this neat little display up here. Sometimes your width will change, but don't worry about it. They have to just adjust it a little bit so that you get a whole number for sample size. And it'll give you the sample size you want. So if I wanted to estimate the population mean critic score within 0.5 units, I would need to go out and get a sample of 2,889 games, construct this confidence interval, and it should have the desired width. And that's going to be it. That's how we find the sample size for a confidence interval with a given width. I'll see you all next time.